And welcome everybody to another edition of the Brody File. Look where we are, the Hoover Dam. That's right. Can you believe it's an iconic landmark, an American landmark, just about 45 minutes or so from Las Vegas, Nevada. And by the way, let's get this out of the way right off the top. It's Nevada, not Nevada. We're not local. We are locals now because we said Nevada. Whatever, anyhow. Look, why are we even here? Well, you know, just recently the Democrats had their big debate in Nevada, in Las Vegas. We were there. We were live tweeting and doing all that Periscope stuff, but we also had to actually cover the debate, and here's some of the highlights. Going in, odds were on which of Hillary Clinton's challengers might attack the frontrunner, but it was Clinton who mixed it up, accusing her main rival, Bernie Sanders, as being weak on gun control.
Senator Sanders did vote 5 times against the Brady bill. Since it was passed, more than 2 million prohibited purchases have been prevented.
What I can tell Secretary Clinton, that all the shouting in the world is not going to do what I would hope all of us want, and that is keep guns out of the hands of people who should not have those guns and end this horrible violence that we are seeing.
And it wasn't only the participants who put Clinton on the spot.
Are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a progressive, but I'm a progressive who likes to get things done.
She also faced questions about reversing positions on issues like the recent trade agreement.
Do you change your political identity based on who you're talking to?
No, I think that like most people that I know, I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience.
As for the big controversy regarding the private email server that she used as Secretary of State, it not only wasn't an issue in this debate.
Well, I've taken responsibility for it. I did say it was a mistake.
It actually gave Clinton one of her best moments as Sanders came to her defense.
I think the Secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too. Me too.
That friendliness came to an end when the conversation turned to the Vermont senator's self-described socialist views.
Democratic socialism is saying that it is immoral and wrong that the top 1/10 of 1% in this country own almost 90%, own almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
Then Sanders started praising socialist-type programs in Europe.
I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden, and Norway, and learn from what they have accomplished for their working people.
I think what Senator Sanders is saying certainly makes sense in the terms of the inequality that we have. But we are not Denmark. I love Denmark. We're the United States of America.
That exchange led to Sanders accusing Clinton of being too cozy with Wall Street and big banks.
Secretary Clinton, Congress does not regulate Wall Street. Wall Street regulates Congress.
Sanders and Clinton also seemed to differ on how Edward Snowden should be viewed after giving away American secrets.
He broke the laws of the United States.
I think Snowden played a very important role in educating the American people to the degree in which our civil liberties and our constitutional rights are being undermined.
The other players on stage, like Jim Webb and Lincoln Chafee, really couldn't break through, though former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley did take a dig at Clinton's call for a no-fly zone right now in Syria.
I believe that a no-fly zone in Syria at this time, actually, Secretary, would be a mistake. You have to enforce no-fly zones.
Hey, look, before we go any further, time for a special commentary from the Brody File from the Hoover Dam. Hey, look, let's talk about Bernie Sanders for a moment. A lot of folks just think he is on fire across the country, and there's no doubt he is. And of course, on the Republican side, there's Donald Trump. He is on fire as well. A lot of folks have started to compare Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump, that Bernie Sanders is, if you will, the Democrat Donald Trump. Well, hold on for a moment. There's a big difference between the two. Yes, they're both attracting huge crowds. Yes, they're attracting a lot of media attention as well. Here's the difference. Donald Trump plays to a much different sort of crowd and a larger crowd. Let me explain. Donald Trump appeals to Republicans, to independents, to Democrats, to millennials. Bernie Sanders appeals to liberals, socialists, and millennials. He's not too much he's playing with some independents, but for the most part, he is not playing at all to Republicans. Donald Trump can play to both Republicans and Democrats. That's the difference. There's a wider pool for Donald Trump to draw upon than Bernie Sanders. And quite frankly, while we're on the subject of Donald Trump, and we'll hear from him a little later in the show, but let me just say this. Donald Trump, and this is very, very interesting, that Donald Trump is playing in a much different lane than all of the other Republican candidates. Look, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, all those folks, they're playing with the typical Republican voters out there. Donald Trump, not so. He's playing, like I said, with Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Millennials, and that's what makes Donald Trump very dangerous, especially if you're another Republican candidate running for president. All right, when we come back, we're going to speak to the good doctor. Well, actually, Donald Trump calls him an okay doctor. No, he's not an okay doctor. He's a great doctor, and he's running for president. And oh, by the way, he's doing really well. Ben Carson, next. And welcome back, everybody, to our special show, the Brody File show, here at the Hoover Dam in Nevada. That's right, not Nevada, Nevada. Actually, can I just be specific? We are standing literally in Arizona. Nevada, it's kind of like that way, about 40, 50 feet or so. Anyhow, little trivia, little Brody File trivia. All right, time now for our talk with Ben Carson. He is hot on the campaign trail. Donald Trump better watch out. He is second in the polls and rising. And we had a chance to sit down with him recently in our CBS studios. Let me ask you your message to evangelical voters specifically, who are obviously not just in Iowa and South Carolina quite a bit, but in a lot of those SEC primaries that we know are coming up. Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, Mike Huckabee, a lot of folks playing for that evangelical crowd. I probably missed a few. What separates you? Why should they maybe look at someone like yourself? I mean, Donald Trump will call himself an outsider. Carly Fiorina calls herself an outsider. What is it about you specifically that you think it's important for voters to look at?
Well, I hope that they will look at my life, look at the entirety of my life, and see that it has been dedicated to the uplifting of people, not only medically, but the way that we put in reading rooms all over the country to try to help particularly those in Title I schools to develop a love of reading, which can change the trajectory of their lives, by leading a life that's not full of scandal and adhering to the values and principles of our Judeo-Christian foundation. I don't have to just talk about it. You can look at the life and see that it's there. And honesty. And I'm not a politician. I don't want to be a politician. We don't need a politician right now. What we need is straightforward honesty, integrity, and straightforward talk. Because this country is not for the political class. It's for the people. And we need to be carrying out the will of the people, but we also need to make sure the people are extremely well informed. And as far as playing for this group or that group, I'm playing for every group because it's for all of us. We don't want to divide ourselves up, but by the same token, I also understand that when we talk about separation of church and state, there is no separation of church and state in the Constitution. That was the Supreme Court ruling a few decades ago. The Constitution, in fact, guarantees freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. And we have to have the kind of leadership that understands what that means. I'm extremely disappointed, for instance, that our Congress has not come out immediately after the Supreme Court ruling on gay marriage with legislation to protect, the jobs, the livelihood of Christians and people who have beliefs that might run counter to pop culture.
Ben Carson here on the Brody File. All right, when we come back from the Hoover Dam, time to talk Planned Parenthood and those videos. There have been some developments. We also speak with one of the folks that's been leading the charge, Lila Rose. Back in a moment. And welcome back, everybody, to our special Brody File show here at the Hoover Dam in Nevada. All right, the Planned Parenthood videos, we know all about them, very controversial. Now, Planned Parenthood says they will no longer accept reimbursements for fetal tissue donations. Of course, that was the big controversy, and Cecile Richards, the head of Planned Parenthood, is hoping she can get ahead of this controversy by nipping that in the bud. We'll see what happens as it relates to that. Now, one person we actually talked to about these Planned Parenthood videos, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That's right, the head of the Democratic National Committee. She's been a Brody File guest quite a few times, and we caught up with her recently at one of the debates to talk about this very issue.
Are you concerned at all with the videos that, if you've seen them, I don't know if you've seen them, but are you concerned at all about it? Because I know you believe Planned Parenthood does do good work, but what about these videos, though?
Well, I'll tell you, as a breast cancer survivor, you know, the 2.7 million women that get their basic access to health care from Planned Parenthood, they need Planned Parenthood because making sure that they can get that basic access to quality, affordable health care is so critical. I have seen the videos. What was disturbing in them was that they were so doctored and so obviously put together by an organization with an agenda. But yes, there were some troubling comments in them, but I stand by Planned Parenthood. I stand by the health care that they provide. This controversy is yet another example of how the right-wing Republican Party is hell-bent on denying access to health care to women.
That's Debbie Wasserman Schultz as the Brody File goes into full stalking mode and captures some of that interview. All right, look, speaking of Planned Parenthood, there is nobody in the pro-life community fighting harder on this issue, and quite frankly, for many, many years, than Lila Rose, one of our good friends here at the Brody File. We had a chance to sit down with her at the Values Voter Summit recently, where we talked Planned Parenthood and the pro-life agenda.
When I saw these undercover videos come out, I thought of you. Undercover videos, Lila Rose. I mean, you know, you sounded the trumpet a long time ago. Where are we now with what these videos have done to the public consciousness? I mean, how much have we raised this to the next level here?
Right. Well, first of all, David is a friend, and he's done a phenomenal job with this wave of videos. Millions of people now have seen them, and millions of more are going to continue to see them as we use our platforms. Other groups are pushing stories to draw more attention to how Planned Parenthood is treating children in their facilities. They're cutting apart the bodies of the little children that they abort, selling the heart, the lungs, the liver. I mean, it's horrific. So it's only begun in some ways, the educational push, because there's an immediate media burst that can happen, and then the media goes on to other things. But to keep the social media push alive and to keep the educational campaign alive is what we're working to help do, and is very important to continue to do in our movement. And I think when you take a step back and you see the political climate, we had 4.5 years under President George W. Bush, who was a self-proclaimed pro-life guy, good man, 4.5 years of a control in the Senate, controlling the House, pro-life Republicans, and we funded Planned Parenthood every year. Now, we have the most pro-abortion president in U.S. history, but we have bill after bill being brought up right now in the House and even in the Senate saying we have to defund them. So something majorly has shifted. Now we just need to replace the president.
It's Lila Rose here on the Brody File. All right, when we come back, if you're talking Nevada politics, you're talking about the key Hispanic vote. We explain more about that and the national implications when we come back from the Hoover Dam here in Nevada. And welcome back, everybody, to the Brody File special show here at the Hoover Dam in Nevada. Look, when you come to this state, of course, one of the key demographics here are Hispanics, and quite frankly, all over the country, and especially when it comes to the evangelical community and Hispanics. When you combine those two together, especially Hispanic Evangelicals, oh boy, do you have an influential voting bloc. More on that from Heather Sells.
Darle la bienvenida a este podium.
Governor Jeb Bush.
Gobernador Jeb Bush.
As White House contenders begin to test the waters, they realize their target voters are changing. Jeb Bush and Mike Huckabee both reached out to a group with emerging clout.
You can't deny the fact that it is the single highest growing community in America.
It's early in the 2016 presidential race, but already GOP candidates are courting Latino evangelicals. One big reason, their growing numbers.
If I was running a campaign, I would say to my leader, we need to be there.
There's no question that they're courting the NHCLC and they're courting the Latino community because they understand that this is a huge constituency that can and frankly will turn elections.
Here's why candidates can't ignore this group. Right now, 70% of the adult population in the U.S. identifies as Christian, with a quarter being evangelical. 11% of those are Latino evangelicals. And an even larger percentage of Latinos make up the overall Catholic number.
Latino evangelicals will play a significant role in determining who occupies the White House after 2016, without a doubt.
The electoral math is also significant. In 3 of 7 swing states, Latinos make up more than 15% of eligible voters.
Gracias, Reverendo.
It's no wonder then that candidates are working on their Spanish or making faith-based appeals, or both.
I do not come to you tonight with the ability to speak Spanish, but I do speak a common language. I speak Jesus.
The organization behind this event, the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, boasts more than 40,000 member churches.
Their churches are growing at a rapid pace, and they are speaking into political issues and cultural issues more than they did in the past.
For 2016, the Hispanic Conference will encourage its churches to host voter registration drives. Their concern, traditionally low voter turnout among Hispanics.
It's not, proportional to where we should be. Nevertheless, it's a lot more than where we used to be.
GOP candidate Mike Huckabee told CBN News he believes Christians should consider civic engagement to be a spiritual responsibility.
Historically, one of the challenges has been getting people to say it matters to be involved in the political sphere. Because a lot of people say, look, this is not my kingdom. My kingdom is the one to come.
If Latinos do engage and vote, they could shape issues and influence the national conversation. Research shows education and employment are top concerns. Rodriguez says life, marriage, and religious liberty also matter, and immigration is critical.
It's more about, man, you're going to make it difficult for us again to vote for you if you don't pass immigration reform.
We have to stand up and fight.
Faith leaders also warn that anti-immigrant language is a turnoff for many.
How you message it, how you address it is a big issue.
So don't be surprised if the 2016 candidates eat a few more tacos, talk about immigration reform, and focus more on faith, what it means, and why it's important.
Heather Sells here on the Brody File. Hey, look, while we're in Nevada, how could we not do this story? You've probably seen the video. I consider it the funniest video of the 2016 campaign season. There he was, Donald Trump, on stage talking about that People magazine cover, and that woman, there she is, she comes up on stage because she had that People magazine cover, and Donald Trump wanted to bring her up, and oh my, did the festivities begin with Hispanics for Donald Trump.
People magazine, I love the people, I didn't love the picture. There it is, come here, let me have that, come here. So let me say this. Where are you from?
I'm from Colombia.
Colombia.
I'm Hispanic.
And is this a setup? Did I ever meet you before? Huh?
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Yes, Mr. Trump. We love you.
The headlines say it, loco for Trump, loco for Trump. I mean, I tell you what, she was very, very much in love with this whole idea of Donald Trump going to the White House. I love it. Anyhow, speaking about Donald Trump in the White House, could he actually make it? Well, if he does, evangelicals are going to be a key reason why. He needs them to win. And we talked to Tony Perkins from the Family Research Council about why Donald Trump has been so interesting and appetizing to evangelicals.
Donald Trump. There's mainstream media folks scratching their heads, and maybe even some evangelicals scratching their heads, but definitely the media wondering, why does Donald Trump get a standing ovation at an evangelical type event? People trying to figure it out. What's your take on something like that?
I think Donald Trump is he's a fresh breath of air. I was going to say hot air, but that's not. I mean, he is boisterous. He's a bit arrogant the way he comes across. But here's what I think he's tapped into. Americans are tired of the mealy-mouthed political jargon that comes out of Washington, D.C. I mean, look, we heard you wrote a book about this, the evangelicals and the Tea Party. Right. And the 2010, when the Democratic-controlled House and Senate, along with the President, imposed Obamacare on the nation, it gave rise to the Tea Party with the rallying cry of repeal Obamacare. And it has expanded the majority of the Republicans in every election since. But what have the Republicans done? We still have Obamacare. We still have rising health care premiums. We have declining health care access. And so people are tired of it. And Donald Trump tells it like he sees it. And I think people, at least on this first impression of Donald Trump, is that he's not going to be controlled by the political class. And that's what they're looking for. And that vacuum could be filled with by others. In fact, I mean, you see Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, a freshman senator who is a leading contender for the presidency of the United States. The reason is because he has spoken out and taken on his own party. And that's true of many of the others in this cycle. But I think Donald Trump right now best reflects that and is tapped into that angst that we see across the political spectrum of on the right here in the United States.
Tony Perkins here on the Brody File. Back in a moment with some sights and sounds here in Nevada. And welcome back, everybody, to the Brody File show here at the Hoover Dam. All right, time now. You know we do it all the time when we're on the road. That's right, get ready. Sights and sounds from Nevada.
Be careful. Be careful, you guys. Be careful.
The sights and sounds here in this beautiful state they call Nevada. All right, that does it for this week. Big thanks to the crew on the road, Brody File crew, Matt Keaty, Steve Jacoby, Amber C. Strong, our producer / Poplitical. Don't worry, Poplitical coming back soon. Until next time, we'll see you in the stuffy old studio. Have a great week. God bless.